ashram and assured her of all protection, saying, "My dear child, please remain at my ashram until the arrival of your husband." Text 13. तथेति अवात्सीदेवर्षेर् अन्तिकेषु कतो भया यावद्दैत्यपतिर्घोरा तपसो नान्यवान्तत. Translation. After accepting the instruction of Devarshi Narad, my mother stayed in his care without fear from any direction, as long as my father, the king of Daityas, had not become free from his severe austerities. Text 14. ऋषिं पर्याचरत् तत्र भक्त्या परामया सती अन्तर्वत्नि स्वगर्भस्य क्षेमयच्च प्रसूतये ऋषिं पर्याचरत् तत्र भक्त्या परमाया सती अन्तर्वत्नि स्वगर्भस्य क्षेमया च प्रसूतये ऋषिं पर्याचरत् तत्र भक्त्या परमया सती अन्तर्वत्नि स्वगर्भस्य क्षेमय च प्रसूतये. Please repeat.
Rishim Paryacharat Tatra Bhakya Paramaya Sati Antarvatni Sagarbhasya Shema Yecha Prasutaye.
ऋषिं पर्यचरत्तत्र भक्त्या परमाया सती अन्तर्वत्नि स्वगर्भस्य क्षेमाय च प्रसूतये.
Anyone else would like to try? Word by word meaning, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Word meaning, Rishim unto Narada Muni, Paryacharat rendered service, Tatra there in the ashram of Narada Muni, Bhaktya with devotion and faith, Paramaya great, Sati the faithful woman, Antarvatni pregnant, Swagarbhasya of her embryo, Kshemaya for the welfare, Icha according to desire, Prasutaye for deliverance of the child. Translation. My mother, being pregnant, desired the safety of her embryo and desired to give birth after her husband's arrival. Thus, they stayed at Narad Muni's ashram, where she rendered service unto Narad Muni with great devotion. Purport. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 19, Text 17, Matra swasra duhitra va navivikta sano bhave balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam apikarshati. One should not remain in a secluded place with a woman, even one's mother, sister, or daughter. Nonetheless, although one is strictly prohibited from staying with a woman in a secluded place, Narad Muni gave shelter to Prahlad Maharaj's young mother, who rendered service to him with great devotion and faith. Does this mean that Narad Muni transgressed the Vedic injunctions? Certainly he did not. Such injunctions are intended for mundane creatures, but Narad Muni is transcendental to mundane categories. Narad Muni is a great saint and is transcendentally situated. Therefore, although he was a young man, he could give shelter to a young woman and accept her service. Haridas Thakur also spoke with a young woman, a prostitute, in the dead of night, but the woman could not deviate his mind. Instead, She became a Vaishnavi, a pure devotee, by the benediction of Haridas Thakur. Ordinary persons, however, should not imitate such highly elevated devotees. Ordinary persons must strictly observe the rules and regulations by staying aloof from the association of women. No one should imitate Narad Muni or Haridas Thakur. It is said, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vikyana Bujhai. Even if a man is very advanced in learning, he cannot understand the behavior of a Vaishnava. Anyone can take shelter of a pure Vaishnava without fear. Therefore, in the previous verse, it has been distinctly said, Devarshir Antike Sukato Bhaya. Kayadhu, the mother of Prahlad Maharaj, stayed under the protection of Narad Muni without fear from any direction. Similarly, Narad Muni, in his transcendental position, stayed with the young woman without fear of deviation. Narad Muni, Haridas Thakur, and similar acharyas, especially empowered to broadcast the glories of the Lord, cannot be brought down to the material platform. Therefore, one is strictly forbidden to think that the acharyas is an ordinary human being. Gurushuma Naramatihi. ॐ अज्ञानतिम्रान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सह गणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्ग राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ऋषिं पर्याचरत् तत्र भक्त्या परामया सती अन्तर्वत्नि स्वगर्भस्य श्रीमयाच्च प्रसूतये. My mother, being pregnant, desired the safety of her embryo and desired to give birth after her husband's arrival. Thus she stayed at Narad Muni's ashram, where she rendered service unto Narad Muni with great devotion. So we came to know from the previous verses that how, in the absence of Hiranyakashipu, King Indra, the king of all demigods, he attacked Hiranyakashipu's palace. And due to absence of Hiranyakashipu, his associates, his soldiers, they run away from the palace to save their life. Then Indra, he arrested Kayadu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu, who was pregnant by that time. And he wanted to take Kayadu along with them until she will give birth of the child, and then he wanted to kill the child. Immediately, Narad Muni, he appeared there at that scene and stopped Indra to do so. And Indra was giving his opinion. She is bearing a child of a demon, Hiranyakashipu. And we all know that how much the whole world is terrified by the terror of Hiranyakashipu. So this child which will take birth will be no difference than Hiranyakashipu, could be more dangerous. But as Narad Muni, he is very much advanced, he is very much advanced devotee of the Lord. He could see the future. Then he pacified Indra by saying that the child which is in the womb of Kayadu is a great devotee of the Lord. So leave this matter unto me, I will take care of that. And once the demigod, when they came to know about that, the child which is in the mother's womb, they circumambulated her. That is one of the aspect of a devotee. Once they come to know about Lord and Lord's pastimes, especially the place where the Lord's devotees are appearing or they appeared, it is not different than a temple. They do worship, they show their respect, and they also circumambulate. Even when we are going to any of the Acharya Samadhi or even the Puspa Samadhi, we also circumambulate the Samadhi because that brings the essence, that brings the presence of that Acharya. So we can understand here that the demigod, when they got information, the child in the womb is going to be a great devotee of the Lord, immediately they show their respect and their mood, their attitude, their behavior and action, everything changed immediately after getting this information from great Acharya Devarshinarad. And in this other scene, the classmates of Prahlad Maharaj, they were very much astonished to know how come this 5 years old child have so much knowledge about the Vedic philosophy. From where he gathered all this information in such a tender age. We also see so many times that when the children they are talking to their parents or siblings or relatives, and sometimes they say something which is very difficult to understand, that how come this child is talking so much sensible things, because we are judging the child according to their age, but we forget that this is not the child's first birth. Many information is stored there in his mind from his previous birth. But here in the case of Narada Muni, it's absolutely different scenario. Now he is describing all the information, all the Vedic knowledge he acquired when he was in mother's womb. This is one of the Shastric evidence from the Shastra, that a child in a mother's womb can understand, can listen each and everything. The conversation between parents and the conversation between the mother and other people. This is the one of the very astonishing thing, like what we are talking, which is nothing new, we all have experience. How come when the child came into this world and immediately he understands this person is my mother and this person is my father and this persons they are my siblings? Because when they go to the unknown person, they start crying, but they are very much calm, quiet, and pacified when the child is in the arm of mother, father, or very, very much close relative. how the child came to know. Because even the modern science also accept this, that a child can listen and understand in the mother's womb, I think from fifth month onward. I'm not sure about that. I read this article long ago, so I don't remember exactly. And here we also don't know how much old the pregnancy was when Prahlad Maharaj was in the mother's womb. But it is absolutely clear that his hearing organs they were developed and his intelligence was there. So whatever he listens, he could remember. Two things are there. Whatever we are listening in this material world, we are listening through ear. That's why we forget. Because there are so many other things around, so we forget. But when we listen with the heart, it is remain with us. So being a child, when he was in a mother's womb, he was listening through the heart. It was directly connected with mother. So whatever mother was listening, it was going to him. Another example is there of Abhimanyu during the battle of Kurukshetra, when Krishna and Arjun was taken away according to the plan of Kauravas. So they created uh, a scheme known as a chakra view. Is a 7 layers of a circle, and in between the circle of that decoration of the army, the all main warriors they were there, and it is not just 7 circles of the army. They were well protected by the mantras. It is not like this is a wall, take a hammer and knock it down. No, it was shield of a army, circle of army protected by the particular mantra. So by chanting the particular mantra, one can penetrate that circle. And Abhimanyu was telling to the to his uncles that I could go up to the fourth or fifth level, because when I was in my mother's womb, my father Arjun was describing the details about how to penetrate this chakra view. But my mother, she fall to sleep. As soon as she fall to sleep, I stopped listening. So that's why that's why I have no idea how to break all these 7 circles. So this is another evidence from the Shastra. Whatever mother is listening, whatever mother feels, whatever mother talks, it is all messages they are going to the child in the womb. So he's describing all the details from the Shastra to his friends, what he had heard during his mother's pregnancy. So in today's verse, Narad, he is describing what was the situation, what happened then. So when her mother was released from I would say that from the clutches, maybe it is not a proper word. When she was released from the Indra's captivity, Narad Muni brought her in her ashram, and her ashram was in Vrindavan. Narad Muni is a wanderer, he doesn't stay at one place. But because he was cursed by Daksha, Narad Muni has convinced the son of Daksha to become a brahmachari, and it made him so disappointed The Daksha he cursed Narada Muni. You cannot stay at one place in your whole life. That's how Narada was traveling from one place to another place. And during this visit, when he came and met Krishna, so the Krishna says, you can stay in a Vrindavan because in Vrindavan the curse is not applicable. Curse given by anyone is not applicable. And you stay here and you write and you compile Bhakti Sutra and Pancharatrika Vidhi. So that's how Narad Muni's ashram was in a Vrindavan. And Narada then he brought Kayadu in his ashram. And it is, of course, it is like a contradictory. A sannyasi should not take services from a woman in a secluded place. But Narada Muni, he is a so advanced devotee that he can accept this service. And she was also very fearless because she knows the personality of Narada Muni, how famous he is. So without any fear, with love and devotion, she was rendering service to Narada Muni. And Narada Muni was sharing all devotional topics with Kayadu. And it is said it was like a literally it was a practical thing in those days in India that when the woman was pregnant, husband and the other householders they were sharing the pastime, the stories from Ramayana, especially. So the child in a womb will listen the qualities in the pastime of Lord Ramchandra. And today we have a much facility. We can take advantage of that. And it is said in a Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. A devotee must listen Srimad Bhagavatam, listen or read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And we have a devices and all Bhagavatam and stories from Krishna book, it is there recorded. I also listen time to time. I don't remember the name of the devotee, but with some musical instrument in the background, he is narrating the stories from Krishna book. It sounds so sweet, so melodious. While you are doing your other services, like whatever you're doing, you're cooking or whatever you're doing, you are driving, you can listen this sweet melodious pastime of Lord Krishna. And that is keeping our mind engaged in a devotional service. Shravanam is the first quality of the nine process of devotional service. So here we say that Narad Muni he was keeping Kayadu, a young lady who was pregnant, in his ashram. And by doing so, by saving Kayadu from Indra, Narad Muni did two very great things. First, he saved a pregnant woman who is carrying a great devotee of the Lord. Second, according to Indra's plan, he wanted to kill the baby. So he saved Indra from the offense of child's murder. Though the child is from enemy, but all women and newborn child they consider as innocent unless the woman is not a part of any conspiracy. But Narada Muni says that she is a chaste and innocent woman, so you should not kill her. So Narad Muni he saved Indra and other demigods from the offense of killing a child, and he saved a pregnant woman. This is a great sign of a saintly person. Saintly person, they always appear to save a person to make offense in their life, to make their life sinful, so they can practice Krishna consciousness. And Kayadu also has promised that she will hold her pregnancy till her husband will be back, Hiranyakashipu, who was doing austerity in the Mandarachal mountain. And for how long? For 100 years. 100 years of demigod. So she was not also an ordinary woman. Of course, she is the wife of Hiranyakashipu. So she has the capacity to hold a child as long as you want it. So if the 100 years she was holding her pregnancy, so we can understand that 100 years Narada Muni was giving instructions or sharing the devotional services to Kayadu. And by listening these all devotional services, all the pastimes of the Lordship, she was also purified, and the child was gaining purification and information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his mother's womb. This is, and there's another examples are there that some of the women, some of the mothers say they are so great, the children, that they can hold their pregnancy, they can hold their delivery of the child as long as they want it. Another example is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Diti and Kashyapa Muni. When Diti she came to know this, it was inauspicious time to become a pregnant. She was holding the semen of her husband for 100 years in her womb, and later on they born as a Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. But she was that much capable to hold the child. And also, Kapila Muni also was staying in his mother's womb more than 9 months. Normally, in material world, we consider that 9 months is the full time of pregnancy for the delivery of a healthy child. In this context, as Narada Muni was keeping a young and pregnant woman in his ashram, and he is not an ordinary person. Prabhupada has given two examples here. One example here of Haridas Thakur, that being a brahmachari, being a sannyasi, he also allowed one prostitute to stay in her ashram. But that is a different story. I will come back on that pastime. I will quote another verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Text 40. Yopayati snirmaya yoshideva vinirmita tam ikshetatmano mrityum trinah kupam ivar. The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. So, in this text, it is mentioning that women, they are representation of Maya. So, they are always with the illusory energy. They are covered with illusory energy. And whoever is accepting services from woman, They should know that this is a way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. Of course, not person's own wife, mother, daughter, or sister. But other than that, if somebody trying to associate with a woman with some lusty desire or with some bad intention, that person should understand he is walking towards death. Or if some woman is trying to associate with a man with some other motive, an intelligent person should understand that why the person is trying to approach. And especially, one should not meet with a woman other than his own family member or close person in a secluded place. If I am not wrong, I was listening a pastime of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was giving class, and the disciples they were sitting and attending the class. In the meantime, one woman entered in the temple hall, and many of the disciples the head turns towards that woman. That is the energy of a woman. They are very strong, very powerful, and it's not easy how to control that energy or how to engage that energy in a devotional service. That's why it is advised, especially a brahmachari, vanaprasthi, and sannyasi, they should avoid association of women. Or they can take association of a woman as long as needed or required for their particular service, but along with some other devotees, not alone, not in a secluded place. Because women can be used as a honey trap. They can be an obstacle to make a progress, or they can be a reason for defamation. And this country have seen one of the country's president was fall, and his glory, his position, everything was destroyed just by one woman. So this that's much how powerful the feminine energy is. There was a famous king during the time of Chanakya known as the Chandragupta Maurya, and this honey trap is known as for immemorial time. So to protect the king, Chanakya Pandit has an army of Vishakanya. Vishakanya means from a very childhood they were slowly given poison. So when they grow up, these young ladies, they were not different than a poisonous snake. Even their bite can kill a person. So they were surrounded by Chandragupta Maurya to protect the king, so other women cannot come and attract him. Or Chanakya can also send this woman to kill or eliminate his enemies. And the same honey trap, these things, woman's trapment, still they are practicing in modern days. There's another story is like a woman's illusionary energy is so powerful is between Jamini Rishi and Vyasadeva. Jamini Rishi was a disciple of Vyasadeva, and they had a conversation that how strong the feminine energy is. Sometimes it happens that many times the disciples they are not agree with their spiritual master and they go with the argument. If not argument, disagreement. Because they cannot understand what is coming for them. So Gemini Rishi was not convinced that illusory energy is so powerful. So one day, sorry, Vyasdev he disguised as a very beautiful woman, and it was raining. That night it was raining, and this woman she came to the ashram of Gemini Rishi, and she wants to take shelter. So Gemini Rishi he gave her shelter to protect her from this heavy rain. But when he see her beauty and youth, he was attracted. He was so much attracted that he put a proposal of marriage. Then this woman, which is Vyasdev, and she said that I can accept your proposal, but not here. You have to carry me to other place on your back. And Jamni Rishi, he was carrying that woman on his back. And on the way, Vyasdev, who was disguised as a woman, start giving him instructions. Then Gemini Rishi realized that what a heavy mistake he was going to do in his life. So this is the situation. This is the effect of feminine energy, which is very strong. So we should not imitate Acharya. That what Acharya they are doing, like Acharyas like Narada Muni or Haridas Thakur. We can follow their instructions. We should not try to imitate them. Haridas Thakur, whose original place is in the Benapole, which is now in Bangladesh, he was very famous for his sadhana bhakti. And he was chanting every day 300,000 names of their Lordship, which is close to 172, 173 rounds as per Mahamantra. If we chant Mahamantra, we are doing every day at least 16th round. So he was doing at least 172, 173 rounds, that is equal to 300,000 name of the Lord. So the landlord of that village, who was also tax collector, known as Ramchandra Khan, was very much disappointed because Haridas Thakur was more famous than Ramchandra Khan, this tax collector. And people they can take life, they can give their life for the name, fame, and glory. Of course, he was a Muslim leader, part of the ruling government. So he was thinking how to defame Haridas Thakur. And the easiest ways to defame is send one beautiful lady in the night in a secluded place. When he is in his ashram, nobody is around. When this beautiful lady will be there, my constable will go and they will arrest Haridas Thakur and we will bring him to the justice. And to disclose to the people, look, in the daytime, this person, this bogus, this fake sannyasi is chanting, and in the night time, he is enjoying a beautiful woman, a prostitute. So, according to the plan, one lady, one prostitute, she agreed. The most beautiful prostitute, she agreed, okay, I will do whatever you want me to do. So, according to the plan of Ramchandra Khan, the tax collector, she came to the ashram of Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur, he was always chanting the Mahamantra in front of Tulasi Devi in his ashram. And this lady, she expressed her desire that, oh, you are so handsome, you are so young, like nobody can, no, none of the women can go away by the attraction of your youth and beauty. So I would like to take association of yours. Haridas Thakur says, he didn't say no. He said, yeah, I can fulfill your desire, but I took a vow that I will chant at least 300,000 name of the Lord. So why don't you wait? And once I'll finish my round, then I can fulfill your desire. And she agreed, and she was sitting there. And Haridas Thakur, he was keep on chanting his mantra. And it was 172, 173 rounds. So once he finished, it was already daytime. So this prostitute said, okay, I'm going today. My desire is not fulfilled. What to do? And Haridas Thakur said, okay, you can come the next day. So she came and gave report to the tax collector that today didn't happen because he was busy in chanting. So once I will associate with him, the next time when I will going to associate with him, then you can send your constable with me to arrest him. So tax collector he agreed on this plan. So next night again she came, and the same thing happened. Haridas Thakur asked her to wait till he finished his chant, till he finished his rounds. Same thing happened. Again the sun rises in the morning, so prostitute she left. Then Haridas Thakur he said that I took a vow to finish 10 million rounds in 1 month. So let me finish this, then I will fulfill your desire. And she comes every night and she was sitting next to Haridas Thakur and Haridas Thakur was chanting, keep chanting, keep chanting. By listening Mahamantra, by listening the chanting of Haridas Thakur, her mind and heart transformed. And she started thinking, what a disgraceful life I am spending. So her soul awakened, her consciousness awakened, and she gave up her profession. And she asked instruction from Haridas Thakur, what shall I do? Then Haridas Thakur requested her to chant the name of the Lord. She took the instructions and she started chanting, and Haridas Thakur he set out from his ashram for the pilgrimage. And this prostitute now she is attentively one more instruction he gave. He said, whatever wealth you have accumulated, sorry, whatever wealth you have accumulated, distribute into Brahmanas. And then you start chanting. Then, after giving the instructions, Haridas Thakur he left for the pilgrimage. So once this lady who was prostitute, now she is chanting the name of the Lord. And by looking her devotion, by witnessing her devotion and the services, the people will start coming and showing their respect to this prostitute. That is the power of association of a pure devotee of the Lord. The similar thing happened here also with Prahlad Maharaj. As Kayadu, she was staying in an ashram of Narada Muni. She was rendering services to Narada Muni. And Narada Muni, in exchange, he was sharing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And if you look at the previous birth of Narada Muni, when he was a small child, his mother was also rendering services to the sadhus, to the visiting sadhus during the Chaturmasya. By the mercy, by the remnants of those sadhus, which transformed the life of Narmani's previous child's baby boy. So this is the association, this is the power of the pure devotee of the Lord. And because Prabhupada is also mentioning one nice quote in the last of this purport, Gurushu Nara Matihi, because Acharyas, they are not ordinary human beings. They are specifically sent in this material world to impart the Vedic knowledge to the human society so they can engage themselves by their mind, body, and intelligence to attain the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Guru, they are not an ordinary person. It is very important to know that by the mercy of Guru, one can attain the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the mercy of Guru Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashita, the divine knowledge will manifest in a heart of a devotee, in the mind of a devotee. Without the mercy of a Guru, no one can make a progress size of a tip of a needle. By the mercy of Guru and Vaishnava, only we can make a progress. And thanks that Srila Prabhupada came all the way to the Western world to deliver all fallen souls. It happens that many times, like they say, there's a darkness beneath the lamp. Though the Vedic knowledge came from India, most of the people they are ignorant from the Vedic knowledge. Just an example of a darkness beneath the lamp. But if the lamps are around, if the many lamps are around, the darkness can be eliminated. So Prabhupada, when he brought this knowledge to the West, and when the devotees they come back to India, they start doing Harinam and preaching and book distribution, prasadam distribution. That's how they slowly, the people around the world, including India, they are awakening their spiritual knowledge, which was under the dust of ignorance and also pride, false pride, that I'm being an Indian, I know everything. No, it's not possible. That's not true. Being a devotee, that is a different thing. But being holding a nationality of the particular part of the country, one is not considered as an advanced person. I would like to conclude here. If any would like to make any correction, comment, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I would like to thank you for a very nice class.
Hare Krishna.
I am especially appreciating your explanation of how it was that Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old, even though he obviously was conceived prior to Hiranyakashipu undertaking austerities. And although Hiranyakashipu performed austerities for a very long period of time, still Prahlad Maharaj was born and only at the age of 5 at the point of this pastime. So it's creates a question for a lot of people. How could that be? And so you gave the explanation there, and I appreciate that. I have one comment. I have been over the years, I have noticed, I've taken note of this particular verse that Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport. Where is it now? He says, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vigye Na Bhujai. That even if a man is very advanced in learning, he cannot understand the behavior of a Vaishnava. And there isn't a reference for this verse, but I hunted around and found that the same verse is mentioned many times by Srila Prabhupada in his purports, but I could not find a reference for it. I did eventually find that there is nearly the exact same verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it appears as though the verse as it is cited in the purport is actually slightly, it's Srila Prabhupada's paraphrasing of the verse. And what happens is that the BBT attempts to standardize the quotation of verses throughout the books, and in this instance, it appears that that they duplicated the same Bengali that Srila Prabhupada was quoting. They standardized it across many purports, but the actual verse appears to be from Madhya Lila on the 23rd chapter, text 39. Lord Chaitanya is speaking to Sanatan Goswami. He's teaching him about devotional service and progress in devotional service. And he says, Yanra Chite Krishna Prema Karaye Uday, Tanra Vakya Kriya Mujra Vigeha Na Bhujai, which Srila Prabhupada is translated as follows: even the most learned man cannot understand the words, activities, and symptoms of a person situated in love of Godhead. And the verse is important because it points out, it's a caution to devotees and people in general that we should not try to estimate the level of advancement of another devotee, for example, or try to understand what a devotee like the spiritual master may be thinking, his purpose, his intention, and so on. It's actually not possible to understand the mind of a devotee. And so we have to be careful. One can commit offense. Sometimes devotees want to speculate about the particular rasa of their spiritual master. But this verse cautions against such activities, and there are other verses that support this idea that one should not attempt, especially in connection with the spiritual master, one should not attempt to do such things. Ultimately, it is not possible to understand anything of a great devotee unless they choose to reveal that to you. It's just too easy to make mistakes. The mind of a devotee is hidden, And anyway, so I think it's an important and valuable verse, and so it can be found in Madhya Lila, chapter 23, text 39. Thank you again, Prabhu, for a very nice class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your input. It was really, really helpful. Yeah, that's true. You're saying absolutely true. Being a very tiny human being, we cannot understand the motive behind the action and the word of a great acharyas, because what they can see, we cannot even understand. We cannot even imagine what they are trying to say or what they are saying. So this is the best thing for being a disciple, that whatever instruction is coming from the acharya or spiritual master, we should follow as it is without putting our own tiny brain into that. That will help us to make progress. I think we are ready for Darshanarati. So I will conclude here. Thank you so very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.